Hello, we're going to show you how to digiscope with your spotting scope. You want to start with this is an Athlon 2060 power and 80 front lens. So they call it a 2060-80. Athlon's the brand. It's not bad. It takes decent pictures and videos. You could get a lot better. You just spend a lot more money. This is like under $200, and my best friend Robert in North Carolina actually bought it for me. Thank you, Robert. Anyway, you want a nice metal tripod, sturdy, because that's the most important thing when you're digiscoping is your tripod. You don't want a plastic one. Maybe a wood one would be okay, but I would suggest a nice metal tripod that's nice and sturdy that will last you a while, because the plastic ones, I've been through 3 or 4, they all break. So get a good metal tripod, get at least a 2060-80 spotting scope. I would suggest to get the 2060-100. The 100 is the size of the front lens. The bigger the lens, the more light you get in, the better pictures you get. This is an 80, but I would have preferred a 100. Depends on what you can afford. And like I said, 2060 power is the least you want to get. If you can afford it, you want to get more power than that, like up to 80 or 100 power, if you can afford it. Anyway, you see your subject. You take your tripod and your spotting scope, set it all up, you adjust everything, you point it right at your subject, then you tighten all these knobs down to lock it right in the center of your lens, whatever you're photographing. And once you get it there, then you come up here and you adjust either 20 or 60 power, depending on what you want. This here, in and out, you want it in if you're wearing glasses. You want it out if you're not wearing glasses, and you want it out if you're digiscoping. So it's out right now because we're going to digiscope. You look at your subject, you zero it in, you turn this back and forth until it's nice and crisp and clear. And then you leave it alone. Then you get your camera. In my case, cheap Android camera. This is my broken one, but it still works kind of. And my cheap plastic digiscoping bracket, under $20. It'll mount any cell phone to the spotting scope. You can buy brackets that mount just your specific type of cell phone. Much easier to use, much more expensive. Like I said, under 20, the other one over 100, approximately. Anyway, you take your bracket, you take your cell phone, and you see your camera lens. You want it to poke through the middle of that hole. So you put it in the bracket. See that? And then you snug it down. Don't have to crank it down because you're going to need to move it later on. And then there's another bracket here, or adjustment here, that moves it this way. So you adjust it to where your camera lens is about in the center of that, what do you call, sextagon, circle looking thing. And once it's there, you tighten that down, you snug that down, because you're still going to have to move this. Okay, then you turn your phone on, you open up your camera. Once your camera is open, you decide whether you want video or photograph, one or the other. I'm going to put it on photograph. And then you take your camera and your bracket with the thing pointing through the middle as close as you can get. And you're going to mount it right here. Take it, put it over.
This instruction sounds like a step for mount.
Hush up, Google. You put it over your lens and you put it flat onto your lens, and then tighten down this other screw that's way up here, and that holds it onto the mounting scope. That one you can tighten a little bit. There you go. You're mounted. This is the difficult part. That cell phone lens has to be pointing directly down the center of the spotting scope lens. So you're going to either have to move it up or down in my case. There it is. Up, down, and over, back and forth until it's dead center. Right now, you should be able to see your subject nice and crisp and clear. However you have it set here, you just leave it there. If it's as close, whatever you have it set at, just don't touch it no more. Now you come over to your phone. Your phone has adjustments just like your spotting scope. So if you want your subject to be a little closer, a little bigger, of course you open it up a little bit. That'll bring it in closer and make it bigger. Your phone has other adjustments that you can use before you take the picture or video. But once you've figured out everything you want to do and the picture's just like you like it, all you got to do is touch it lightly, and there's your picture. Touch it lightly, there's your picture. That's it. That's how you do it. The problem with it is your subject pretty much needs to be stationary or moving real slow like a turtle, because you can't get a picture of something moving. It's just, I can't anyway. It's very difficult to get a moving video or a moving photograph of any kind. So your subject needs to be pretty much sitting in one spot or moving real slow like a turtle. If you want to move over to a different subject, different bird, different animal, whatever, you got to take it off, remove this, you got to loosen your knobs, you got to move it over to this animal or bird or whatever, you got to focus it again, nice and crisp and clear, and you got to take your camera, just leave everything like it was, mount it back on there, nice and flush, tighten it back down. You might have to readjust this a little bit, but only a little bit because you already did it once, so it should be very close. And once you do that, take another picture. There you go, you're digiscoping. Thank you very much.